Hello guys, I'm Kirsty, I'm a health and wellness content creator and I've decided to enter the world of YouTube. So I've been sharing my health and wellness journey over on TikTok for the last few months. I've been sharing everything to do with my fat loss journey, my habits, my routines. I'm all about becoming the best version of yourself. I'm just basically sharing my life, everything that I do to actually try and achieve that. One of the things that I share is all about the meal prep that I'm doing to help me achieve my fat loss goal. As you can probably tell from the title, today's video is going to be 3 days of meal prep. I've been sharing these videos over on TikTok for the last couple of weeks and people have been loving them. I'm so glad because my meal prep style is easy, simple, yummy, and something that you do actually want to eat day in, day out, because obviously meal prep can get really boring. I can only do 3 days max. I cannot go longer than 3 days because I genuinely get the ick, I feel sick, and I cannot eat the 4th or 5th day. So I do 3 days max. If you can't even do that, do 2 days. If you can do longer, great, but I feel like it lasts in the fridge probably 3 days max, and that's kind of the limit that I push it to. So I'm going to do 3 days worth of meal prep. These are for my goals, so if you want bigger portions, feel free to amend the quantities, but I'm going to slow it down. TikTok is very fast and it's a lot to try and cram into the really short video. So this is why I wanted to create YouTube. I wanted to slow it down so you can actually follow along. I'm going to put the recipes in the description box below, all the ingredients, so you can follow it and it'll be a lot easier. And it's also really hard to comment on TikTok because the comments are so short. So any questions you have, please feel free to comment below. I'll come back to you, and hopefully there's enough information in the video and also in the description box to help you with your meal prep. So let's get into it. Right, the hair is up, which means we're in business. I'm going to tell you actually what I'm going to be making today, which might help you. So for breakfast, I'm going to be making apple cinnamon protein overnight oats. A lot of people on my TikTok, I mean a lot of people, not a lot of people, a few people said that they didn't like Biscoff, they didn't like Nutella, to have another option. So I thought let's change it up with a bit of fruit. I love this apple cinnamon recipe. I also put this apple cinnamon in porridge, like actual warm porridge. You could probably pop it on pancakes. It's just delicious. So I'm going to do that in overnight protein oat, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. It kills me a bit inside to say, however, I did have a savoury option for you, okay? I'm a sweet girl through and through. I would rather a sweet breakfast any day. I rarely ever crave a savoury breakfast. But for the people, you know, I created a savoury recipe because I could appreciate maybe not everyone's the same as me. So I come up with a recipe and I've spent near part 3 hours filming it, okay? So my phone died, the camera battery died. Great start to being a YouTuber, hey? Camera battery died, and then I was trying to film it on my iPhone. Cut a long story short, after everything kind of came together, I put my camera back on. I burnt the stuff for the savoury breakfast. Finally kind of heated it back up, tried to do it, and then it was the biggest fail I've ever seen. So we're just going to ignore that. I'm going to scrap that footage and we're just going to go with the apple cinnamon overnight oats, okay? So keep your eyes peeled because I'm going to attempt that again at some point, a savoury option. Let me know in the comments if you're savoury or sweet, because that would help me out, because I want to give you what you like as well. Even if I just do it for one day, then I can try something out and show you what you can do. But anyway, cut a long story short, apple cinnamon protein overnight oats for breakfast. For lunch, we are going to be doing a creamy taco beef pasta. One of my faves, so delicious, high in protein and so filling, which I love. And then for dinner, I'm going to do a sticky chicken and rice. Again, love it so much, so quick and easy, and it lasts really well. So they're the 3 days of meal prep. I'm going to enjoy my cup of tea. If there's one thing you need to know about me, a cup of tea is the way to my heart. So I have a tea brewing. I'm going to finish that, drink that with a Kit Kat. I'm not going to drink the Kit Kat, I'm going to eat the Kit Kat, gather my thoughts, and then get back into filming, because I started at nearly 12 o'clock and it's now nearly 3. So let's just start this again, shall we? Welcome to YouTube, hey? Okay, so before we get started, I thought I would actually talk you through how I actually do my meal prep. In the TikTok video, I talk you through kind of meal by meal, which I will do in this video, and obviously, as I keep saying, all of the ingredients and recipes will be in the description box, so even if you find this hard to follow, the recipes will be down below. So I always multitask while I'm meal prepping. It just saves time, means you're being as efficient as possible. So I actually normally get started kind of with lunch or dinner, one of those recipes, because I always kind of pick a pasta recipe because pasta is my favourite thing ever. So I'll usually boil the kettle and start browning whatever meat. It's normally chicken or beef. If I haven't already chopped the veg, I will then use that time to chop the veg. So the time that the meat's browned, I can then add the veg. And then once that's all cooking and cooking down, then I will then normally start my breakfast. But for this video, I've already chopped my veg because of the whole debacle that I mentioned that happened earlier. I had all the free time while I was waiting for my cameras to charge. So I already chopped the veg. Hopefully I can edit it all together and it makes sense, okay? If it doesn't, then we'll try better for next time. Okay, so here is what you're going to need for this recipe. Firstly, I use this as my oil, so this is just the extra virgin olive oil spray. I think I got this from Tesco or maybe Lidl. And then the 1 calorie light spray, I thought this is a bit better because it doesn't have all the chemicals in that I know of, so don't hold me to that. I have 500 grams of 5% beef mince. I've chopped up 1 small red onion and 1 orange pepper and half a red pepper that I had that was remaining, so I've just chopped everything up for that. I have 150 grams of pasta, so that's 50 grams of pasta per portion. This is based on my calorie goals because, as I keep saying, this is actually my meal prep. So this is based on my calorie goals. I'm trying to keep it on the lower calorie side because I'm in a fat loss phase and a calorie deficit. So I've actually reduced the amount of pasta that I normally have. So if you have high calorie goals, or if you're not actually trying to stick with a calorie deficit and you just want to eat food, which is completely fine, feel free to add more pasta, but I'm adding 50 grams of pasta. So all the calories that I include at the end of this will be based off 50 grams, so you just have to amend it accordingly. And then I have 50% less fat soft cheese from Tesco. And then we have this fajita seasoning. I know I said taco. I thought I had some taco seasoning in the cupboard, but I didn't, but this fajita seasoning will be fine. So that's all we need for this. I'm going to pop the pasta onto boil first. Okay, so the pasta's boiling and now we're going to add the beef mince into the pan. Just going to give it a couple of sprays of this just to make sure it doesn't stick. And just break that up so it's nice and, I don't know what the word is, shredded, broken up, not in big lumps. That should be all browning off nicely now. Again, just keep mixing until it's all browned off. And then once it has fully browned, we'll be adding the veg in. Leave this to soften for about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll add the sachet in. So I'm just going to stir this in and then I'll pop some water in, literally just a splash of it, not too much at all. So now we're just going to stir that in and just let that simmer down now, so that will go nice and juicy. The veg will start to soften even more and it will just soak up all that delicious, yummy seasoning. Make sure you're also tending to your pasta throughout, don't let that overcook. I hate soggy pasta. My #1 tip when you're making pasta dishes is to not throw the pasta water away, because that starchy, salty goodness is basically the base of most of the sauces that I make. For this type of thing, I will add the cream cheese in and then I'll add a dash of pasta water. You'll notice that in all my recipes. It just kind of loosens the cream cheese and helps it all stir in and combine, and it's just so delicious. So don't throw away the pasta water, just turn off the pasta once it's done. The beef should be done soon, so it won't be sat in that water for too long. If you think it's going to be sat in that water for too long, just pop it into another bowl, but keep, even if it's just a mug full of the pasta water. It's now time to add the pasta into the mince mixture. As you'll see, I don't mind if a bit of pasta water goes out with the pan. That's what I'm going to be doing anyway for the cream cheese. So you can just pour it. Please don't worry, obviously not too much pasta water, but just kind of pour, scoop. Bonus, you don't have to wash up a colander, which is one of my least favourite things to do. And I don't have a dishwasher, so we try and save on washing up over here. And then stir that all in, and I literally just did exactly what I said not to do, and loads of pasta water came over. So I'm not going to bother adding any more pasta water, but what you want to do once you put the cream cheese in, we're going to add a splash of the pasta water straight from the pan into this, and it will all bind together into delicious goodness. And now you want to add the 60 grams of cream cheese directly into the pan. And then stir that until it's all combined. Okay, so the pasta is all done now. The next step, all you need is 3 pots. It helps that they're identical because it means they're the same weight, and some kitchen scales. So this seems to be causing a bit of confusion for people on TikTok of how to actually weigh it out, how to, once it's kind of all in the pan, then how do you then weigh it out to then portion it out. The first thing to note is actually if you're the only person eating this, it doesn't matter too much if one portion is slightly bigger than the other, etc., because it's all going in your body throughout 3 days, say. So it doesn't actually matter. If you're logging it correctly with the whole amount of dry ingredients that you're putting in, and then say timesing it by 3 or dividing it by 3, you're going to be consuming that over the 3 days. I just like to measure it out just so I know I'm getting enough protein per day from the meal I'm making. So is I'll just pop the Tupperware on the scale, pour a portion into there, kind of get a rough estimate, I kind of normally go for about like the 350 gram mark, and then kind of do 350 gram per pot, and then I can kind of see how much is left over, and then I split that equally as well. So take our first pot, make sure the scale's at 0, and then I bring the whole pan of food over, and then I just start scooping. So as I said, I'm going to try and get this up to about 300-ish, and then see, kind of eyeball how much is left of the pan to see if actually we can add a bit more in or not. So that's 320. I'm going to pop that into the next one and then go into the next one. So because these are identical pots, this is exactly the same weight, so this automatically, the scales automatically go back to 0, which is really handy. So that was 320, so I'm going to try and pour in 320 grams again, or thereabouts. So if you are sharing this with a partner, a housemate, another individual, if you are tracking calories, make sure you are actually getting the weights quite accurate, because obviously that will then impact the calorie amount per portion. Once it's all portioned out, you want to leave it to one side and let it cool completely before popping the lids on, and then you can keep it in the fridge. Hello, it is a new day. As you can see, dressed differently, I probably look a bit different, so just putting that fact out there that it is a new day. I ran out of time, so today I'm going to be making the breakfast: apple cinnamon overnight oats and the sticky chicken machine in the background. Let's just ignore that. We're going to carry on, and hopefully it isn't too loud, so let's get started with the breakfast and then we'll do the dinner. Okay, so what you need for this recipe is 2 apples. I have Pink Lady, they're my favourite, they're the sweetest and the most delicious, but you can obviously choose whatever your favourite is, but I'm a Pink Lady person until I die. And then also you're going to need some, I have 0% fat Greek style yogurt, and the only reason I get this over the actual Greek yogurt is just because my fiance eats like a horse and he goes through a lot of this, and I probably would have to take out a mortgage on Greek yogurt or buy shares in Greek yogurt to keep up with the amount he eats. So it's expensive, I know it's expensive, so we just go for this cheaper option. It's slightly less on the protein and I think it's similar on the calories, but just to let you know. So you can either do 0% Greek style, or you can do 0% Greek fat. 0% fat Greek yogurt, whatever you have in the fridge, use that. And then some almond milk, and also, let me just grab the oats. It was in this moment that she realised her fiance, the said person who eats like a horse, has finished all the oats. So scrap that, let's go with a whole new recipe. I'm going to do the protein Weetabix topped with the apple, because that's still delicious. It's basically still has all these ingredients. So let's just start from scratch, okay? Let's pretend like that didn't happen. Okay, so what you need for this recipe, what you still need for this recipe is 2 pink apples, or apples of your choice, but I prefer pink. You're still going to need some Greek yogurt. You're still going to need some almond milk. You're going to need some cinnamon. I just have normal ground cinnamon. You can go for sweet cinnamon. That's the cinnamon I have. And then you'll also need Weetabix. So these are just the Tesco's own. Obviously you don't have to get the branded Weetabix. These are the same thing. So you're going to need 6 in total of Weetabix. And you're also going to need 3 pots. I have these style pots. You can use the longer type. I normally use those too. So 3 pots as well. You just want to pop 2 Weetabix in each pot. Why are Weetabix so messy? I feel like the crumbs go everywhere. With clean hands, make sure you wash your hands. You're going to crumble these up, so you're just going to have to get in there again. Okay, so then you should have like this style texture. You can probably crumble up those bigger bits just a tiny bit more. So do that for all 3 of them, and then we're going to pour the milk in. So these are all crumbled now, as you'll see, it's all nice and fine. And then you want to grab your milk. I'm using almond milk, you could use whatever milk you prefer. And we're going to pour around 75 ml of almond milk in the base for each, 75 per one. If you think it's still a bit dry, and you kind of want the base texture, so you want it to kind of be sticky, not too runny and not too dry, you kind of want it Goldilocks perfect in the middle, so you can pat it down and make a base. Quickly show you what the texture I mean. So this is with just that first dash. I can't do it with one hand, but as you see, this is just a bit too dry to kind of make that base. So I would add a splash more milk to this. Perfect texture. Now I've put that extra bit of milk in. As you can see, it's kind of forming that base. It's really moldable, and you could just kind of shove the sides down. It forms a base at the bottom. So now you just want to do those for all 3 of them. I think it's also good to say that if you do prefer things on the sweeter side, this isn't very sweet based on its own. So if I were you, I would probably add some honey or maple syrup or whatever sweetener you like to the base, just to make it a bit sweeter. You can see here's the 3 bases, they're all done. They're now just all pressed in at the bottom, so we actually have a base. What you want to do now is you just want to pop these bases to the side. You can pop them in the fridge if you want, but they'll kind of set, especially if you put them in the fridge. I just leave them out on the side. So pop those to the side, and then we'll do the rest of the protein Weetabix. You need to grab a bowl. It could be any mixing bowl. I've just got this big bowl, and we're going to mix the Greek yogurt with the protein powder to make the cheesecake part of this Weetabix protein cheesecake. So what you need to do is pour 450 grams of Greek yogurt into the bowl, and then top with 60 grams of protein powder. I use vanilla protein powder. I'm sure you can get kind of cinnamon protein powder, but I use my vanilla protein powder, and this is such a good protein powder to have in the cupboard because it kind of goes with everything. A couple of people commented on my TikTok about this recipe with the protein powder and the yogurt about being quite grainy. I never find that, especially with this My Protein vanilla. I've had some protein powders, not from My Protein, but they've been really grainy and worst texture in the whole entire world. But I find this vanilla protein really smooth, which probably helps, but also you just have to give it a bit of welly when you're mixing it. So you'll see when you start to mix it, kind of there's lumps of protein in there. You just have to keep mixing, and then hopefully most of those lumps will go. Just give it a good old mix, make sure it all comes together, and it will be really nice, smooth and silky. Like we did last night, all we're going to need are some scales and then the 3 pots. What you're going to do is pop the first pot on the scales, set to 0, and then start pouring the mixture in. It is our 3 protein Weetabix cheesecake. So that's, as you can kind of see, why it's called a cheesecake. We have our base, and then we have our yummy creamy topping. You can pop those in the fridge just for now, just to chill for a bit. The last bit, grab a chopping board. I'm just going to cube these up into small little tiny chunks because it helps them cook quicker. With the apple, you're just going to need to grab a pan. This is just the smallest pan I have, and it's also great if you have a lid. This one actually doesn't fit, but so it doesn't matter. If you have something to cover it, great. It just helps it soften a bit better. And then pour the apple in carefully without trying to make as much mess as possible. I then like to add a tiny bit of water. That's literally just a splash, help them steam. And then you want to go in with your cinnamon. And I love cinnamon, so I just go crazy with it. So just add as much cinnamon as you like, but I reckon I could put in a couple of teaspoons. See a bit better, that's how much cinnamon that I've put in. I'll probably put some honey in just to add a bit more sweetness, but it's not a necessity because the apple is quite sweet on its own, and obviously the cinnamon brings out those flavours too. Just stir that all together and pop your lid on. Apples are probably going to take about 10 minutes or so now to soften down. We want them really nice and juicy and just soak in all that cinnamon goodness. So we're just going to put them on a medium to low heat. Make sure you're constantly stirring them, but just kind of let them cook in the background. When I'm meal prepping, I like to use time effectively, so I would use this time now to start preparing for my next meal, which is the sticky chicken. So you'll start chopping your veg and start chopping your chicken. I chopped mine all yesterday when I had the time, but we're not going to talk about it, but that's all done. So I'm going to tell you now what you need for sticky chicken so you can start preparing your meal, and then we'll come back to the apples and we'll come back to the protein Weetabix once that's done. Okay, so this is everything you need. You're going to need 400 grams of chicken breast chopped up. I have 1 whole broccoli, 1 white onion. That's quite small, so you probably could have a bigger white onion. There's not a lot there. And this was 1 quite large orange pepper. And then for the sauce, you're going to need the main ingredient, soy sauce, some honey, some ginger puree. You can just use normal ginger. I'm just lazy, so I have this in the fridge. A bit of sriracha. You don't have to have this, and if you don't like spicy things, you probably can sub this out for tomato puree. And then I have some garlic cloves. I think there's 2 here, but it's basically just this is basically just a large garlic clove. And then also some rice to have with it. I just have the microwave basmati rice. You want to chop your chicken into a bowl because we're going to be pouring the sauce ingredients in there. So you want to start with 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. In milliliters, I think that's around 45 ml, so I'm just going to go for that. And then you want 2 tablespoons of honey, which is 30 grams. One teaspoon of sriracha, which is about 5 grams. Teaspoon of the ginger puree, again about 5 grams. Then you want to crush your garlic clove directly in there. And you just want to stir that all together so it's all coated. There we go, it's all in there, it smells so good. I suggest chopping your chicken first so you can pop all the ingredients in here and just let that marinate for a bit, and then you can start chopping your veg. Remember not to forget on your little trusty apples. These should be done by now, once you've kind of chopped your chicken, done all the sauce and your veg is all done. Now that the apple's all done, you just want to let that completely cool down. You can just leave it to the side while you're cooking your chicken, and then once that's all cooled down, we'll add it on top of the protein Weetabix that are in the fridge. Pour the whole thing in, including all of that juice. I'm going to start cooking the chicken, and then when it starts to brown a little, then you want to add all the veg in here directly into the pan. Veg is all now cooked, so I'm just going to pop my microwave rice in the microwave now for 1.5 minutes. You do whatever your package says. Obviously, if you want to cook your rice from scratch, you can. The chicken is done, my rice is done. I'm going to pour this rice directly in there, stir it all in, and then I'm going to split it out between the 3 pots. You can, if you don't want to mix it all in, you can just serve it individually. Go back to our favourite part, we've got our flow pot. Mine aren't equal this time, I've got 2 of the same and then 1 odd one, so I'm just going to make sure that they're all equal when I'm pushing them on the scales. There we have it, we have 3 sticky chicken prepared, ready to go for either lunch or dinner. Now I'm going to set these to the side, let them completely cool down, pop the lids on, and then they can just go in the fridge. Okay, so last but not least, let's finish off the protein Weetabix that we started. So just remove all the lids, and then we're going to spoon the apple mixture on top. And pop a bit of cinnamon on top as well, so we can stir it in the morning. And here we have it, we have the apple cinnamon protein Weetabix. They don't look the prettiest, I'm not gonna lie, but I know they're going to be so delicious. If you want it all a bit sweeter, maybe pop some honey on top, but this is enough for me. I cannot wait to eat these in the morning. Everything on here is cooled, so the lids can go straight on and they can go straight in the fridge now. There we go, we're all finished. We have 3 days of meal prep, breakfast, lunch and dinner. Delicious food with no restriction that you actually want to eat over and over again. I've already eaten 2 of my taco beef pastas, that's although there's only 1 here. I'm gonna have one of these for dinner, and then I'm gonna enjoy the rest of it throughout the rest of the week. It's just gonna help me stay on track. I have big goals this year when it comes to my weight loss and kind of the body transformation that I want to have. So being consistent with my meal prep, making sure I have high protein, delicious meals that I actually want to eat, help me stay on track and feel like I'm not restricting at all, which really helps. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. I'm really sorry, it was a bit chaotic. I feel like everything went wrong that could have gone wrong. We made it through okay, we got there and we got to the end. But it's the first video, it's just gonna get better from here. We made it through, we made it work, and we still have some delicious recipes out of it. So I hope this longer style of videos helped you to kind of understand. I've tried to give you some tips and tricks along the way to help your meal prep. And I can't wait to see you next time. Please do let me know in the comments below if you want any other videos, what type of videos you want, what type of recipes you want, if you don't like anything. I know I use a lot of pasta, so if you don't like pasta, let me know and I can try and think of some alternatives. And I will be starting to do individual recipes on my TikTok and Instagram as well, so make sure you follow me on there, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you like this video. I'll see you next time.